Well, in the Fed Day in Texas, our group up in Dallas and Ron Paul in Houston, the Army was there in plain clothes, and it said, do not let them know you're Army. They may kill you. They're terrorists. Ron Paul may just pull out 6 shooters and just start blasting. I mean, they do it with a straight face, okay? Because Ron Paul knows who the enemy is, and Alex Jones knows who's the enemy. So every few years when I'm in a Target parking lot or in a dark parking lot at night, they like to have Army guys and when suits come up and get around me and tell me I better watch myself. It's all just letting me know. Just letting me know I'm not in a free country. So they can ship in their narcotics and kidnap little kids all over the world and have black sites where they torture people because they like it. They build a world so they can have their party. The average good, well-meaning person that joins the military is compartmentalized, has no idea this is going on. But it's in the hundreds now of Army, Marine Corps, Navy investigators that do their job with corruption all over the world, and they always get killed. How many people got to get killed here? You see, and by the way, they're not going to be satisfied with all the power and raping and corruption. They want more. That's why they're out in the open going, yeah, we got black sites. Yeah, we torture people. White House puts out memos saying you can bury people alive, you can torture their children in front of them, and then the Army report comes out and they admit that that's what's going on. Because they like it. They like it. You figure that out yet? They like it. And smart murderers and psychos, they don't go around just grabbing women off the side of the street in their yellow Volkswagen. They go and they get into power. And that's basic criminology. They're called highly intelligent, high operation level psychopaths. Highly functioning psychopaths is the actual term. And they run the world, and they're building a giant torture center, just a giant Disney World for themselves. And it's their Valhalla. It's their heaven. And every time a Hitler or Stalin gets to build their Disneyland, it's just mass death, black uniforms, raping, people being stomped to death, burning cities, and then it runs like a disease and burns itself out. But the globalists call it the final revolution. In all their white papers, they say, we're not going to let that happen. With our high-tech system, we're going to manage it all, and it's going to get even better. I mean, they just can't wait to rape your wife and blow your children's heads off and torture your children in front of you. They love it. And that's why it came out in mainstream news yesterday. They're training law enforcement in the U.S. to, quote, kill whole Muslim families in the U.S., including their children, in cold blood. And the cops, when questioned, said, we're ready to do it. Of course, they're going to say, now it's not the Muslims. Go get that family on that farm. Get them, get them.
Well, I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with Farrah. I've never been with anything less than a 9.
We're not going to fix this country with half measures. Okay, let's just admit how evil and out of control and illegitimate the criminals are that have taken over the unelected bureaucracy. In fact, we've got links to mainstream news articles, to the Orlando Sentinel, to all these reports in Kurt Nemo's article from last week. Florida Fusion Center surveilled Ron Paul's campaign for liberty. They didn't just list him if you got an American flag on your car, get us out of the UN sticker on your car, or if you're flying the Gadsden flag, or you like Bob Barr or Ron Paul. I mean, these are upstanding, respected people that you may be a terrorist. Now they're going in. They're surveilling. Public Intelligence, an international consortium of independent researchers, reports that a fusion center in Florida snooped on Ron Paul supporters and other political groups. See, and that's now been admitted the last year by Napolitano and others. Over 95% of their operations are against real Americans. I mean, if you're really what this country was founded on, if you are a good, decent person that doesn't want foreign banks robbing us and doesn't want to lose your liberty and don't want the dollar destroyed, you're the enemy. Haven't people gotten this yet? The government is bad. And it's not going to get fixed just with some Republicans up there in Congress. Now, if you take over all the state houses through the legislative system, which is what they're really worried about, that's who they're surveilling, trying to get dirt to feed it out to local cops and the threat fusion centers to set you up. But we've got to have courage. We've got to be bold. But I've said it many times. It's not really courage. For people that aren't informed, they have to have courage to stand up. But when you know that these people are basically trying to set something up worse than Stalin and Hitler, then, I mean, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you think somebody's happy when they go open up their business at 7 a.m. in the morning and there's people in there robbing it and they've got to go out to their car, get their gun, and go in and shoot them? No, it's just got to be done. And it's the same thing here in the info war. You think I'm happy this is going on? I've got to risk my life? No. But it's got to be done. They're there. They're doing it. We know they're crooks. We know they're sick. I mean, these are really sick. This isn't, look, if this was just boss hog corruption, I would know that it would take decades to lead to something worse. And I wouldn't be as worried. I'd be speaking out against it. This is not boss hog corruption. This is not Sheriff Pico Train or whatever his name is. Roscoe Pico Train. You know, writing tickets to folks that don't deserve it, making a little extra money, being corrupt. That's bad and that's wrong. This is really nasty, devilish stuff. This is wicked upon wicked. This is quadruple wicked. It's so wicked, I can't even believe they're this wicked. But you notice they're operating out in the open now. Telling you secret arrest and torture's good. Admitting they're surveilling all of us without warrants and it's illegal. Florida Fusion Center surveilled Ron Paul's Campaign for Liberty. The event spanned the spectrum. They got this through FOIA request. From a summit hosted by Ron Paul's Campaign for Liberty to anti-war protests conducted by Code Pink and Veterans for Peace. While the documents make no mention of specific threats arising from the events, they do indicate that the Fusion Center monitors political activity in a variety of forms and sometimes requests law enforcement officers to report on constitutionally protected activities. And it goes on to how the Central Florida Intelligence Exchange was established with an $850,000 Department of Homeland Security grant. Then they build them in all your local towns with more money. Here's another one by Kurt Nimmo, the day after this last story from last week on December 24th. Tennessee Fusion Center puts ACLU on terrorist list. Oh, yeah, the ACLU, they're real terrorists. I may not like them promoting abortion. I may not like the fact that they won't defend the Second Amendment. They're certainly progressive socialist types. But the ACLU are not terrorists. In fact, they've got some good branches and some good members, and some good work is done by them. And the ACLU is what we make it. And the ACLU has fought the Patriot Act and all the rest of it, and they're standing up against the airport grope downs. Well, what happens to them? On Thursday, we reported on a Florida Fusion Center snooping on Ron Paul and Campaign for Liberty. Now we discover a Fusion Center in Tennessee has put the ACLU on a terror list as terrorist. The Chattanooga Free Press reported that Tennessee anti-terrorism officials, not servants, officials, placed the legislative lobbying organization on an internet map detailing terrorism entities and other suspicious activity. And the group warned schools to ensure holiday celebrations are inclusive. Got to watch out about that. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us. We've got bombshell intel on Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Obama, the birth certificate.
We now take you live
to the Central Texas Command Center
in the heart of the resistance. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Before I go to attorney Phil Berg and doctor of history, Webster Tarpley, expert on Barack Hussein Obama, real name Barry Soetoro, with big developments on the birth certificate issue, huge developments. And before they leave us, we'll play part of a Chris Matthews clip from just yesterday. I was covering Tennessee Fusion Center puts ACLU on terror list, and they put them on the list for telling schools to make the holiday season inclusive. Now, that's political manipulation. They know in the polls, and I've seen national polls of above 75%, outraged by banning Christmas, banning red and green in schools. That's going on. So they do little politically correct things that are seen as politically correct by conservatives to make it look legitimate. Meanwhile, they're spying on Ron Paul, liberals. They spy on everybody. That's how this political correctness works. So I just wanted to add that final point. You know, that sounds reasonable to conservatives. Yeah, the ACLU are terrorists. They want to restrict Christmas. This is all part of a psyop. Now, and we've got Mike Adams coming up for 30 minutes in the next hour. Then Porter Stansberry on the fact that the dollar is moving towards losing its world reserve currency status. And we've got former top Dallas Cowboy lineman Mark Stepnoski and an engineer coming on to talk about new 9/11 truth developments and an operation they're launching. So it'll be that news will be broken here coming up in the last hour today. In fact, maybe I should play that Chris Matthews clip now. Do we have that queued up? I want to play a few minutes of this, and then we'll go to Tarpley and Berg together to get their take on what this signifies. I've got my take. I'm going to give it first here briefly. But this is Chris Matthews recently talking about this new governor, and now the governor, Democrat Neil Abercrombie, has vowed to release the birth certificate. So that's the new development. And the big change here is the full clip's up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. It's about 8 minutes long. We're just going to play a minute or two. Several times, Matthews says, could you get in the CIA with just a receipt of birth certificate? They finally admitted that it's a receipt, not the birth certificate, not the blueprint, not the photostat, not the one with the signatures and the feet print like all of us have. It's a receipt of it, okay? And you can't get in the FBI with one of those. You can't get in the CIA with one of those. You certainly can't be president with one of those. And it's the Constitution. Now, I don't know if he was really born in Kenya or not. The evidence shows he was. But I know he gave up his citizenship in Indonesia and became Barry Soetoro. And then now there's another name we find out about. So that right there under law means you can't be president. But I'm about to go to both these men briefly for the rest of the hour. But here is the clip of them basically panicking. Some polls show 60%, some 50%. The poll they cite's only 20-something%. Don't believe he's really an American or natural born. So here they are going from stonewalling for over 2 years and saying, you've got the birth certificate. Saying we're liars, saying we're kooks, saying the full birth certificate's been released, to now saying, release the stupid thing, something we've always been saying. This is a big deal. Here it is.
Is this going to help if we get more documentation? And second question, why has the president himself not demanded that they put out the initial documents already?
The president's got more important things to do. Thank goodness that he's more focused on that. Governor Abercrombie himself says that and points out that it is he, the governor, who's bringing this issue up.
All right, pause for just a second. I'm going to finish the clip. You can make a phone call and write a letter, and in about a month, a copy of your original birth certificate comes. I know, because I lost mine once and had to get it. Okay? And they don't take a receipt of a birth certificate to get a new passport or driver's license. They want the original. Okay? Or to get in school, they want the original. So he was too busy to have one of his thousands of employees get it. And this has been an issue even during the campaign. Huge issue. He just has got more important things. Let's continue.
He saw Obama as a baby, and he is tired of people literally lambasting Obama's parents for no good reason. And so he wants to try to put this to rest. Of course, it won't work because the birthers aren't interested in evidence that Obama was born a U.S. citizen. They only want to hear evidence that he was not. And that's not going to happen.